Good morning, everyone. I'm Jackie Dorrian. I'm the Health and Wellbeing Coordinator or Officer with CAVS. We will be talking about a coaching and mentoring in the workplace, an online program for the third sector CEOs and chairs. And I'm really pleased to welcome both Wyn and Jane to this little CAVS in conversation. So Jane, good morning.
Good morning, Jackie. Lovely to join you and lovely to work with Wyn. We've developed quite a good working relationship. He's got me into a couple of hot spots during the year, but I've managed to extricate myself from them. I know that you're interested, Jackie, in this, how we would describe what we're proposing to offer to CAVS, which is a peer coach mentoring program. And I've talked to Wyn about this quite a lot. And what we think is something that is probably groundbreaking and we think is worth trying out is to work in partnership with chief officers of some CAVS members and the chairs of the boards of trustees, so that they would work together, not so much as coach, mentor and learner, but as learning partners. And you have a chief officer from one organization partnered up with the chair of trustees of another organization. So immediately you have to think about one of the most important components of any product coach mentoring program, which is trust, because this relationship will obviously only work if they trust one another and they feel confident to reveal some of the knotty problems, the issues, the challenges that each of them will have within their own organizations. So that's what a peer coach mentoring program for the third sector, for CAVS in particular, will look like. And we think that it really offers huge scope for capacity building throughout the sector.
Brilliant, superb. Thanks for that introduction, Jane. And Wyn, over to yourself.
Yeah, I'm Wyn Llewellyn, and I'm a trustee, vice chair of CAVS. I'm keen to support this program because I've experienced going through this kind of program in organizations that I've worked in previously. And I've been able to see the benefit of it personally and my colleagues, and also the benefit of it to the organization. So I'm confident that doing this kind of work will bring a range of benefits, which we might talk about later, to both the individual and the organization concerned.
Great. Thank you very much indeed. And Jane, you did mention during that first bit that we're offering it to CAVS members, but we're offering it across Carmarthenshire, and if potentially across Cadeiryddion and Pembrokeshire as well. So
that would be great. The more the merrier, within reason, because I think it's going to be an online program, and my experience of online programs during the pandemic indicates that the kind of optimum number of participants for this program, this kind of program, would be 12. So you'd have 6 chief officers partnered up with 6 board chairs from different organizations. And, we could look at it as a kind of a pilot program, and then CAVS can decide how they want to roll it out when we're back being able to be face-to-face again. So I think you also, when we were talking about it, Jackie, you were wondering why it's important, why training for such a program is important. I think it's really important so that people will get off on the right footing, that they will understand what coaching and mentoring is, and equally importantly, what it isn't. And basically, it's a process which is goal-focused, goal-oriented. And in my experience, and with the structure of the program that I've developed, you've got to have 7 building blocks in place before you can even get the show on the road. So you've got to sort out the ethics. It is a very ethical relationship. You've got to identify how each partner prefers to learn, because some people learn by saying, yeah, I'll try that. Other people learn by saying, oh, I need time to think about that, and so on and so forth. So you have to learn to tango in sync with your learning partner. There has to be an agreement between the two. How are we going to work together? You know, how often are we going to meet, etc. Some mentoring, coaching organizations talk about a learning contract. I prefer to call it an agreement, because that to me conveys a conversation. We've had how are we going to work together when? Another aspect that I think is really important for us to consider is this this idea of cultural competence. Now, you know, we're not just talking about diversity in terms of ethnicity, background, etc. But in today's workplace, one of the biggest areas of cultural diversity is in the age range. You know, more and more Gen Zs, baby workers, are coming onto into the workforce. And so those of us who are older than that, millennials and older, baby boomers even, we have to understand and be able to respond to the needs and aspirations of these youngsters, millennials and Gen Z. So that's a very important aspect of cultural competence.
Okay. So
obviously you have to have a plan. So that's the next important thing, that they have to know the direction of travel. Notes, little notes to keep track of progress, to prove that what's going on is not just a series of cozy chats, but it's actually a series of linked conversations, all aimed at helping the person achieve what they've set out to achieve. And then finally, a bit of space to have some reflective practice. So those are the 7 things that underpin the program. And once you've got those on board, you can then develop the skills.
So why do you think it's important then to ensure that those acting as coach stroke mentors receive some training? Why is it so important for that?
Yes, it's essential, because we all know that we use the word, particularly mentor and to some extent coach, in a very loose way. Oh, I met Wynne, you know, when I was just starting off in the workplace. He was such a lovely mentor to me. Well, I know what that meant. He knows what that meant, but it could be any one of a number of things. Today, coaching and mentoring are one of the biggest growth areas of so-called management development within all sectors of the economy. So it's important that what we are doing is professionalized. And to professionalize what's happening, you need training. And the training that we offer is based on the European Mentoring and Coaching Council's global standards of competence for coach mentors in the workplace. So it's not Mickey Mouse, it is really structured and based on a set of recognizable competencies.
Brilliant.
So that helps people to know that what they're getting is measurable.
Yeah.
Against world standards.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And Wynne, what kinds of benefits accrued for the individuals who do this training?
Building on what Jane was just saying, I think the fact that the training is professional enables the individual to be able to articulate clearly what the purpose is of what they're doing. As a coach, as a mentor, and what the benefits are, and what the process is, and what the structure is, and what the standards might be. So we know what we're doing, why we're doing it, what it's for, and what the benefits might be. So that's, I guess, if you're asking me about what benefits did I see as an individual in the workplace, it helped me to reflect on things that were going on as a manager and a leader. And my coach and mentor would be able to ask questions of me, which perhaps I hadn't thought of myself, about what I was trying to achieve, or what I was trying to achieve through others.
Absolutely.
And what that journey was like, and what the challenges were that were perhaps preventing us making progress. So it was almost an independent person who was outside of my little work environment, who was able to help me with that. And I was able to help them with their situations as well, because they would have different challenges than the ones I had.
Yeah.
Collectively, what that was delivering for groups and teams of managers was a different culture, a different way of working, and a bit more reflective practice. I worked in a very large manufacturing environment where everybody was constantly in a hurry, and people were rewarded for problem solving, but problem solving in the sense of it has to happen now, rather than be thought about and discussed with others who might have a vested interest. So it just changed the culture to make it more interdependent rather than directive, and it was really sustainable as well.
Great, superb, thank you. So how do organisations benefit from implementing coaching and mentoring practices?
I think what it did for the organisation that I worked in was really to change the language that managers used, change their behaviour, to make them more collaborative with each other in sharing difficulties and challenges that they faced, and be able to help each other and ask each other sometimes quite difficult questions about what they were trying to achieve and why.
Yeah. Great, superb, thank you. You know, you said the word collaboration there, and I think, you know, at the moment collaboration is really important, but also about understanding, isn't it? It's about understanding how others work and the cultures that could be potentially changed with this programme. So Jane, what key skills are developed and deployed by a really effective coach mentor?
Okay, well, I've already referred to the my structured approach with the 7 building blocks, and then we have 5 key skills that we identify and then work through. Now, the first of those key skills I've already referred to. It is how to create and sustain rapport and trust between the 2 learners, because if there's no trust, then the relationship will founder straight away. And along with that sort of trust comes this dependability, this reliability, so that when you set up your dates for meetings, that you keep to those, that you follow through on actions that you've identified in a session, and either the coach mentor sends some information that he's or she's offered to do, and the learner, when the person is receiving the coach mentoring is the learner, that they follow through on something, going to try out something in a different way, something like that. So that's absolutely essential, and it is the first and most important building a key skill. And then, of course, you have the 2 twin skills of active listening, learning to really listen. And on the program, people will be surprised, people who think they are good listeners. We put them through a couple of exercises, and we all learn that we're nothing like as effective in listening as we think we are. And then the ability to ask questions, ask really powerful, insightful questions. And we use 2 particular approaches. We use an approach called solutions-focused questions, helping people to identify what's not going well and to stop doing it, and then to identify what is going well and to do more of it. So that's this solutions-focused approach. So it's the glass is half full, and also to ask questions which are enable people to measure the extent to which they are making progress, and where they still have to go. And we call those scaling questions, and we have a lot of fun working through that part of the program. And then, of course, there's the ability to give and receive feedback. And that's a key part of the coach mentoring process. And we use some well-known models, and I usually send them out to go and have a chat together. Online, we won't be able to do that, but it can still work effectively. So people can actually explore with each other, because the trust has been established, they've been working together, so they've got a bit of evidence, and they can ask one another questions about how effective they are, or how far they think they've still got to go, what are the challenges, those kind of things. And that's very dynamic feedback. And then finally, most importantly, because this is goal oriented, that to identify and commit to some kind of action, some decision. So it might be something that they've been doing before and just hasn't worked. And so they're going to try a different way because of the discovery and exploration that Wynne talked about, or they're going to try something totally different that they hadn't thought of, and the conversation has, made something click. I hadn't thought about that. I'm going to give that a go. So those are the 5 key skills. And then, of course, it's very, very practical. They have lots of conversations, practice conversations, coaching, being the coach mentor, being the learner, and having an observer to give them feedback. And they're all learning together. So that's really what the training looks like.
Wynne, can I just finally ask you a question of what personal benefits have you gained from being involved in the peer mentoring relationship?
Yes, funnily enough, I was thinking about that before you asked the question, and I was going to just continue about the little story I was telling earlier. Not just personal for me, but personal for other peer managers. And I remember a situation where managers in different functions in this very large business that I was working in were competing with each other and almost throwing grenades at each other in different functions. So the people in manufacturing were throwing insults and grenades at marketing and vice versa. And I think having had a co-coaching and mentoring program, they began to understand the challenges and difficulties in each other's areas and began to be more collaborative and more dependable in terms of delivering things that they said they would deliver. Very often that didn't happen. So, for instance, if you say you're going to get me some piece of information by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning so that I can use it to plan my route forward, then that information would actually be there by 9 o'clock in the morning. So it's actually following through and delivering what you promise, and you get that in return. And also you're doing that in a now a new environment where you begin to understand the challenges and difficulties in other parts of the business that you can help resolve, and you can help other people resolve. So it's more of an interdependency, if you like, and also a focus on being dependable and other people being dependable and supporting each other in that way, which is mutually beneficial to the individuals concerned, but also makes a huge difference to the effectiveness of the business.
Wonderful. And for small voluntary organisations, third sector organisations, that may not feel that actually they've got that same situation as you in a manufacturing situation. Actually, it's really beneficial if you're a CEO or a chief officer of an organisation, and you're sandwiched between staff and trustees or board of directors. That can be a really isolating position to be in, can't it? So this would give them a way to actually have somebody else to talk to that isn't part of that business, if you like. So I'm going to say a big thank you to both of you for giving up your time this morning and for explaining and going through what will happen and how different things could be if you use these techniques and use this training to your advantage for your organisation. We have an introductory session that's going to take place on Thursday, the 2nd of December at 3 o'clock till 4:30. I would urge you to invest some time into coming and joining us to find out a little bit more about what's going to happen through the training. So if you're a CEO, a chief officer, a director, a trustee, then please just contact CAVS to find out some more and book yourself on this session. So thank you both very much indeed. Have a wonderful day, and I'll speak to you both soon.